G'day. Well, I've been away from Satisfactory for a while, but I'm back and addicted all over again. This time I've come back and decided to do a vanilla run through of the game since I haven't played in such a while. There's been so much added to the game since I've played. And I thought what I'd do is just do a unmodded run and quote unquote complete the game. So do project assembly. And just doing it with all the challenges that come along with playing the game completely vanilla. And so far, I'm absolutely loving it. What I thought I'd do is just go through basically where I'm at in this playthrough. I'm about 70 hours in. Just do a quick tour of where I started and the things I've done to get here. Alright, so as you can see, I've done all the way up to tiers 6, completed everything. Now on tiers 7 and 8, and I'm starting to unlock all the things here. I prioritized the whole pack once I got here, so I got that. That makes things a lot easier. I had to get some basic aluminium going, but I've still got a few things to work on. And obviously, phase 4, these big boys over here, is what I need to get going. So I started off in the Grasslands. Now, I know Grasslands is not the place to choose if you're going to min-max your builds with all the pure nodes and all that. But it's been a while since I started in the Grasslands, and I wanted that, you know, classic satisfactory start to the game. So when I started, I chose this area right here in the Grasslands. Right in this flat spot here. Plop the hub down, and I like this area because there's a limestone there, 2 iron nodes there. Just over there, there's a copper node. And once you get going, there's another 2 iron nodes just down there. So I slapped it down and started building a little messy setup and got all the basic things going, like rods and screws, whatnot. And unlock the first few things like concrete and the chainsaw and all of those things. Pretty soon, I moved my hub down to this area down here. As you can see, I'm using the hover pack, but I only actually recently unlocked the hover pack. Once I got the basics going, I moved the hub to here and had my pre-starter base here. I got automated all the parts nice and automated and stored, the basic parts like wire, screws, plates and things, and started just unlocking all the tiers that I had at the time. Had a very basic power setup here. Actually had 10 of these going, which were over here as well, and that got me all the way to coal power. Now, as you all probably know, the first part of project assembly is these smart platings here. So the first thing I did, my first proper permanent factory setup was these smart platings. And I did 4 assemblers here. And everything you can see on this first floor here pretty much makes these smart platings. With a few leftover reinforced iron plates and rotors for personal use. And I did this whole first floor here on just biomass power, so the biomass burner. They didn't have coal power yet. Ignore this top floor. Once I unlocked the first phase of the space elevator, I was able to get coal power, and that's what I prioritized. Put down 36 coal power plants, and that was enough power to get me all the way through to the next phase of the space elevator. So with coal power online, started expanding my factory. I added another small floor to this factory here. Increased concrete production. I also automated the nobelisks because over here is a sulfur and coal node. Got nobelisks automated and also automated a very small basic steel setup doing pipes. Now during this time I also unlocked hypertubes, and I decided to start making a landing point to start getting me around the map a bit quicker. So there's one hypertube cannon here on top of this feature just here. So the next thing I did was build this factory here for the next phase of the space elevator project assembly, and that does automated wirings. These guys here, I've got 2 assemblers making them, and it also does the versatile frameworks, which are over here in this guy. Now there's also a bunch of overflow items like modular frames and things in this factory. Alright, so that was that factory way over here, not the one in front. I did our automated wirings and our versatile frameworks. Once that was done, I wanted to expand the coal power. So I added another 36 coal power plants, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yep. I added another 36 coal power plants. However, what I did was something a little bit different that I don't think I've ever really done before, is I made a compacted coal setup over there. So instead of using just regular coal, I mix it with sulfur and get compacted coal, and you can feed more than twice as many on the same amount of coal. Really, I just did it because I've never really done it before, and there's a sulfur node there, and that's what I did. So now that instead of using all the coal here for power, I've actually got a couple of spare coal nodes there, 1 spare coal node, which I'm using for steel over here. Once I had the power upgraded to a pretty decent amount with coal, I started to build this factory here. And the main focus of this factory was to build motors, encased industrial beams, and also the modular engines, which is used for the 3rd phase of the project assembly. So that's this factory here. And as you can see, I made 3 manufacturers doing the modular engines. Reasonably decent factory, this one. And the motors are getting made just here. You can see a motor going down now, and also our encased industrial beams. You'll see a lot of different items coming along here because I've actually belted it all into a single line which goes over to the hub, which I will go over shortly when I get there. Before I move on though, I just want to have a quick look at this Manta and how it flies over this factory really close. I actually didn't even plan it at all, but he comes down and looks pretty sweet and nearly touches the tops of these foundries here. It doesn't quite hit it. It's pretty damn cool. And there he goes. Alright, so once those items were getting automated for project assembly, I decided to move the hub to a more permanent location. So it used to be all the way over there, but now it is here. I relocated it, made a few neater setup, and then what I also did was I unlocked the smart splitters. So that's a smart splitter. Well, these are the smart splitters. And once you unlock smart splitters, as most experienced players probably already know, once you unlock smart splitters, you can then do a automatic sorting area. And I started doing that. I set it up in a way, if you haven't seen an auto sorter before, basically you can put all your different items on one belt, send it down the center, and split off and sort all your items into one handy one-stop shop to get all your stuff. I didn't have signs straight away. I got them later, and obviously I didn't have all these other more complex items. It only went down to about here, but I set it up in a way where I could just expand it as I unlocked more and more items. It comes all the way down there, and the leftover items use the overflow technique. I'm going to a splitter, a crushing machine. Awesome sync. One thing I do really like is the new UI on these. It's nice and big to look at. Not sure exactly when they changed it, but I love the way they keep updating the UI on things and making things look better. So yeah, relocated the hub, got a few batteries set up because I was pretty much on the edge of the amount of power I was using, and I knew I'd potentially go over when I go transfer to oil power. Right, so that was pretty much it for the Grasslands. I got my phase 1 done over there with the smart plating. Phase 2 pretty much done there, and phase 3 pretty much done here with the project assembly stuff and a whole bunch of items getting put into my auto sorter. So the next thing that I went and did was I unlocked oil, and I wanted to go get some basic oil production done. So I also set up this big long hypertube down to the oil production. So we'll take this, and it's not actually going to be sped up. It does just actually go quite fast. As you can see, the graphical glitch with the hover pack is still there. It used to be the Blade Runners used to clip outside like this, and they fixed it. So I'm sure they'll be working on fixing the graphical bug with the hover pack. You can see the controls just outside. Alright, so down in the blue crater where I am now, the first thing I did was I automated some rubber, some plastic, some circuit boards, and some computers, and some heavy modular frames, all for the personal use. And that's pretty much what this factory floor down here does. It also does some packaged fuel for the jetpack. I won't go through all the machines, but that's what I did when I first unlocked oil, is I built this hypertube all the way over here, and built this big factory here. Well, I wouldn't call it a big factory actually. Built this factory here for some basic oil products. Once I had those basic oil products sorted, I unlocked trains and brought a train line from the Grasslands. You can see the space elevator there over in the Grasslands. I brought a train line all the way out here to the Gold Coast, a very popular spot for people to use oil for the first time. And all I did was build a nice little power station there, doing nothing fancy, just basic fuel, literally the original fuel recipe, and power stations there. There's 33 of them, I believe, 3 rows of 11. That's all I did. These other refineries here are plastic, turning the polymer resin into plastic, putting it on a train station, and away we go. Right, so once we had that oil power online, came back to the blue crater. There was the first factory I built down there, and we built this little beast here. I like this factory because it has a train. I built the train line first on this bottom floor, and then I just slowly put production lines all around it, and now the train kind of goes through the middle of it all, and it's pretty cool. So this whole double floor factory here has quite a bit of a complex production line, including plastics and rubbers. It also has heavy modular frames in it, and computers even in it, and everything else that goes into that, so reasonably complex. And at the end of it, the main final product is this manufacturer here, which is the adaptive control units, and that was the most complex item for phase 3. And I've actually cranked it up to double speed. Essentially, I was going to have 2 manufacturers making it, but ran out of space, so just threw in a couple of shards into that one. And this is really all the machines you see all around this one floor here, and all the machines down here making everything. It all goes towards this two manufacturers essentially making adaptive control units. Alright, and everything from down here in the blue crater gets put on a train and taken back to the base. Alright, before I move on, I want to quickly mention that during that time, I also took a train line out to these 2 quartz nodes. Built a quick little train station to pick up the quartz for when I need it later, but I also just made a couple of constructors making silica and quartz crystal, and I dialed them right back because this stuff's just going to the base for personal use. These are used to make like signs and things, and these are used to make like glass windows and other things like that. Essentially for the personal supply back in base. Alright, so before I head back to the Grasslands, I thought I'd just take a quick scenic overview of the cool train line I built. So it comes from the Grasslands over there. I made a nice massive bridge, and I decided to get a little bit fancy and do a little spiral around this feature here. And that's it. Alright, just a brief explanation of my train system. Quite basic. This train station just here receives goods coming from around the world for my personal supply here in this automatic sorting system. Most of the basic goods, concrete, copper goods and things, are actually made in the Grasslands and coming from these two factories here along the belts. The more complex stuff like computers, rubber products, heavy modular frames and things are coming from those other factories we were just at, and they come in by train. This train line here is the one that shoots off and goes all the way over to the Gold Coast, which we're heading to now. Alright, using the hyper cannon, I was able to land up here on the mountain, which gives us a good overview of what I'll talk about, what I did next. So just over there, that's our initial oil power plant, just standard fuel power plant, nothing else fancy going into it. I did put a blueprint maker there. I don't really know why I kept it there, it just is there. Alright, so that's just one node, basic power. The next thing I did was, well, I actually had to handcraft a bunch of radio control units to build these blenders, but we managed to unlock the blenders and we did the diluted fuel here. So we get a bunch of oil, turn it into the heavy oil residue, and then we mix it with a whole lot of water, and we get, I don't know the exact amount, it's written down somewhere, but enough fuel, just standard fuel, to make, I think it's 132 fuel generators, but it's a lot. Way more than what we had here. So we more than tripled our power here. This took a while to put in, but really not that bad, because now with the addition of blueprints, it was a lot easier to put stuff in. Alright, so I'll come down here. Once that was done, it really went quite smooth actually, as far as troubleshooting goes. With the amount of pipes and things. Only a couple of things I missed and had to fix up. But it's all smooth now. And the way that I like my power to run is I overfeed it. I ever so slightly overfeed it what it needs, so that I have a dead straight line up the top here. I never want my power to be fluctuating. That's just an OCD thing. So it sits at 3900 megawatts constantly. Plenty of power for what I need for the next phase. Speaking of the next phase, actually first speaking of blueprints, things that made this so much easier, I've been loving using the new blueprints. I've been setting up all these different blueprints. There's heaps of tutorials about how to use them and whatnot, but it just makes things so much easier to spam out. For example, the power, where are we? Power? For the fuel generators, you bang them out. I've got the power pole already connected and the first pipe already connected. So banging them out didn't take as long as what it would have done previously. With the refineries, of course, I don't actually have enough stuff to build this, but it does make stuff a lot easier. The only thing I don't know if you can do is connect the actual pipes. So I'm banging these down in sets of 3 and then just coming along and connecting the pipes to each other. If there is a way to actually have that connected, I would like to know about it, but I don't think there is. One other thing that I've been using is I don't know why I didn't do it straight away, is the hyper cannon blueprint. So if ever I get to a new area, I can just slap down one of these hyper cannons and use the jetpack to shoot off. And that's what this is here. Yeah, so this is a blueprint right here. This hyper cannon blueprint. Cool. So nearly at the end of what I've done, where I'm up to. What we did was build this factory over here. And this is our basic aluminium setup. So just alien things, called it. And over there, basic aluminium from this guy up here, bauxite node up there. Everything's neat. There's no clipping. Everything's 90 degrees. I do like to be neat. I'm not going too fancy because this is just a playthrough of the game. I'm not one of those super amazing builders, of which there are many these days, and you all know who you are. I'm not going to name names. And it's incredible what these other people do. But that's basically it for me right now in this playthrough. The next thing I will do is just keep working on unlocking everything, expanding the train network, and building these phase 4. I'll have to do nuclear power sooner or later. And yeah, I'm loving it. I'm loving the vanilla experience of the game. So that'll do. However, what I will show you is a sneak peek of a modded save that I've been slowly chipping away at. And in that modded save, I am attempting to use every single resource node in the game. So it is quite the undertaking. Alright, so before we jump across to my modded save, where I consume the entire world, just a quick overview in the map calculator of the vanilla run I'm doing at the moment. Here's the factories out in the Grasslands. My train line comes up through here, down to the blue crater where these factories are. Little quartz pickup up here. We have our coal power here, and our train lines going over to our oil power and also aluminium plant. And really, that's about it for the vanilla playthrough so far, update 8. Let's jump across to my modded save. If some of you have watched my previous videos, you'll recognize this. This is the Nexus world. I built this train Nexus that covers the entire map, each biome. This map actually takes a while to load in, because it's not loading in up here. But what this map is all the nuclear plants, well, all the nuclear nodes made into 250 nuclear plants is the first thing I did. And now I am working on using all the nodes in the entire map to make the most amount of product possible. Now it is going to really stress the system, and I don't even know if it's going to be possible because of the amount of lag that's going to be induced. But I'm going to give it a go anyway and see what I can do to mitigate the lag, turning the graphics down, all those sorts of things. We'll jump into the save in a second, have a look. It's actually running in the background. But what I'll explain once this finally loads in is I've started in the desert. So I'm going to go biome by biome. And if I click all the, for example, iron nodes, they're gone. Cool. All right, so copper, here are all the copper nodes and all the coal nodes. What you'll notice in the desert is they're all tapped into. So what I've done in the desert is I've made as much steel as possible with all the coal nodes. And I've turned them into a certain few components, which I'll go into in a sec. And the latest project I just did, which is pretty beefy, is this copper refinery using all the copper nodes in the desert. You'll notice none of these copper nodes are even showing up. So let's jump into the game and have a look at what it looks like so far. All right, here we are in the modded save. Welcome to the slideshow. Rightio, so this is the swamp. everything in the swamp goes to the nuclear plants. It's all part of the nuclear build. And over here to the right is the desert, what I've started working on. Now, I've already used all the coal nodes and made as much steel as possible. So that's all coming in here, all the coal nodes in the desert, making as much steel as possible in all of these foundries. And I'm making a, I've got stuff written down, but basically a shit tin of stuff. A lot of this is getting used for stators and whatnot at the moment. But one thing to know is that every machine has 3 shards in it. So I'm trying to keep down on the lag, trying to keep down on the item limit. That's why every single machine you see is going to be 2.5. So times everything you see by 2.5 if you wanted to do this without power shards. That being said, yes, I'm using mods, but this is technically achievable without mods because I haven't added or changed anything in the game apart from quality of life features like flying. Right? Cool. Rightio. So this is all the steel. I used all the coal and then just took whatever iron was necessary to make it. All right. So we're obviously going to do the solid steel recipe here because it's the best. Well, it's one of the best, depending on what sort of things you're doing. Right, so a whole bunch of pipes get used for stators there, and away we go down here. When I'm using wire, generally I'm going to be doing iron wire, because copper is actually quite rare. Well, it's more rare than iron anyway, let's put it that way. And we want to save all our copper to make copper powder and the copper sheets. Let's just have a quick look over here. This little factory here is for the nuclear plant, the steel for the nuclear plant. And over here, I've even made the maximum amount. These are quartz nodes. I've made the maximum amount of crystal oscillators you can make. Again, 3 shards in each one. And we're making 51.66. All right, and I have thrown together a few more machines. When I say a few more, quite a lot. But I've thrown them together and we are making 75 automated wiring. Now, I did this quite a while ago actually, and I'm just chipping away at it. Again, everything's neat, no clipping, 90 degree corners and all of that, and it looks pretty nice. I try to, where possible, annotate how much is going where, and it just helps me keep track of everything. Helps me keep track of the belts and whatnot. Not too laggy at the moment, but sometimes it does lag. You'll see some frame drops in a second. All right, so the final project that I've, well, not the final project, the latest project I've worked on is all the copper in the desert. Coming along here. Now, if you see these empty belts, it's actually just a visual bug. If you actually hover, they do actually have the copper. I could delete the belt and put it back in and it would fix the visual bug. But I'm not going to go around doing that. It's just the way it is. All right, so we'll have a quick look over here. I've grabbed all these nodes here. Copper, 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 copper over there, just on the edge of the desert. Kind of had to make the decision, do I grab that one or not? But I did. Oh, there's a big chunky bit of lag. Copper node there. Brought that along this belt. Here's the lag. And there's a few pure copper nodes under here. And at the end of the day, we bring in all of these copper lines down to this bad boy. All right, so this is, we're obviously going to be using the pure recipe. Again, as always, 3 shards in each machine. So if you wanted to do all the copper in the desert with no shards, you're going to have something that's 2.5 times as big as what this is. I've got written down how many machines this is. I think it's like, if you just give me 1 second, I'll be able to find out. It's 247 machines, each with 3 shards in it. So I annotated to make it easier, 780 in these three, so 3 pure lines. The rest of them are taking 600 lines all the way down to here. Nice neat belt work, obviously, just the way I like it. All the way down to here, 600, 600, 600, and this final one, just because it didn't split evenly, there was one extra impure node, which is a 300 line, 300. Then we have a whole bunch of more belt work coming in here. I've annotated how much is on each belt. All the way down here, it does look pretty cool, I do like it. So what do we got here? 3 lines of 450, 9 lines, 750 each. I didn't want to do 780 lines because 750 lines just work with the way these machines are. It's just the way it works. So 20 lines of 750 here, 9 lines of 750 there, and 3 lines of 450 there. And we have a total of 23,100 copper ingots. Now I could put all of these into resource sinks and have it running, but that would stretch out all the way. Who knows how big it would be, but every single line would need a resource sink, and I ain't doing that. I've had a quick look over everything as it was running. Obviously they've stopped because they're all full, and it's pretty much, it's all good. Under here I did the water extractors. One thing that is slightly annoying is you can't copy paste the water extractors. So when you need shards in them, you can't just Control C, Control V to do them all manually. And again, yes, I did use blueprints to put these down, which helped immensely, but there's still a lot of connections to be done. You used to have to connect them all, and all of this belt work here was done by hand. But yeah, that's it. I will continue plugging away at this. The next thing that I'll be doing in the desert here is the iron. I'm going to do all the iron. What I might actually do first is feed this into constructors. What do we got here? And do the good old, what are we looking at? Where are we? Oh, here, copper powder. I might actually feed them into constructors and do copper powder. Actually, that's probably what I will do. And once I'm probably going to turn all of this copper into copper powder, I think. And then feed this copper powder into resource sinks, and then we'll have this pumping away. So yeah. I'll just leave it there and catch you later.